everybody, this is the finished look. This is my outfit for tonight. Well, it's a dress with this cute little, awesome little fringy wrap. You know, got this cool Art Deco necklace. The watch on the other side. Love this jewelry. Got my little headband that I made, and this is the look. So I'm going to a wedding tonight, which is why I decided to do this tutorial, because it's a 20s flapper theme wedding. So my friends Scott and Christina are getting married. I'm super happy for them. And of course, you guys know I love themes. I love costume parties. So you know I was gonna go all out because that's just what I do. So I really hope that you guys enjoy the tutorial. I had fun doing it. So continue watching if you want to see how I did this. All right, everybody, hello. We're gonna go ahead and start by priming my eyes with the MAC paint pot in the shade Painterly. This is an alternative that I use sometimes as a good primer instead of my Urban Decay eye primer. Taking this and I'm smoothing it all over, going ahead and getting up into my eyebrow, kind of my inner corner area, just all over my eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, kind of slightly speed it up there for y'all. Just doing both sides, making sure that I'm getting a nice little foundation down so my colors will go on pretty well. I do really like the Painterly shade. I know that there's several different shades that a lot of people use as primers, but the Painterly works really good with my skin tone rather. Then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go in with my Revlon Color Stay Compact. It's a pressed powder, and I just use the translucent shade. This is what I actually use to set all of my foundation on a day-to-day basis, and this is also the compact that I just carry around with me for any touch-ups. I don't actually use any sort of a tinted or colored powder with my makeup, just the translucent shade. So what I'm going to do now is start with my eyebrows. I'll do the nice foundation for my eye look, and this will be the Micro Brow Pencil from NYX. I believe I use the shade Ash Brown, yes. So what I'm doing here is this is a really nice, super, obviously from the name, micro brow pencil. I knew I was going to need something to help create this look because, of course, in the 20s, the look was in a very, very thin brow. And I knew that my powder that I use, my Anastasia powder, I do go back and darken it with the powder in a minute. But I knew that to start the look, it was going to have to be super, super thin line. So that's why I figured the micro brow pencil would work well. I actually just picked it up. This is only my second time using it. And I do like it. It's a pretty cool little pencil. Has a spoolie on the end to help blend them out. But yeah, basically I'm just drawing with my very, very non-existent brows. I'm just kind of basically drawing a straight-ish line, minimal arch. Just making that thin line, bringing it out a little bit past the edge of my eye. And then this is here when I'm going to go back and darken it a little bit, as I mentioned, with the Anastasia Brow Powder Duo. I use the shade Dark Brown. I do tend to kind of stick on the, if anyone has used these before, you know that it's 2 shades in like a little circle palette pan. There's like a lighter brown and then a darker brown on the left and right side. One thing I really wish about the brow powder duos is I wish that they would just stick to one color per pan, because I really only use the darker side. But here, I'm just darkening the line that I just made and just getting it kind of finalized, if you will. So just kind of making it a little darker, setting it in. Alrighty, so now we're going to jump into the eyeshadow look. Today I'm going to be using the Anastasia Prism palette. This is a beautiful palette. I haven't used it a whole lot, but it is great. There's some beautiful shades in here. So I'm using my Eco Tools crease brush for this one. This is the angled, kind of fluffier crease brush that I used in my last tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and start with the shade Lure. And basically what I'm doing is, this is the kind of outline for this eye look. I'm going to be going light to dark. So I'm starting with the light shade, then I'm going to do a medium shade, then I'm going to finish it with black. The look in the 20s was definitely heavy eye makeup, heavy makeup in general. The women were just starting to get comfortable wearing a lot of makeup because it was post-war. A lot of them were going to be joining the workforce, and it was acceptable and becoming socially acceptable to wear heavy makeup. So very bold eyes, very thin eyebrows, very dark lips, and really kind of all shades. There was red, orange. I'm going with the dark maroon for my look for today. But yeah, to start the eye look, what I'm doing is, of course, taking that lower, kind of making that nice round shape. That was another thing. They were a big fan of doing a very round, dark eye. So I'm using that brush to just kind of set the foundation for my shape. Then I'm going in with Parallel. This is like a chocolate brown. And I'm starting from the bottom to top. I'm just going to basically go over exactly what I just did. As I mentioned, I'm kind of doing a light to dark gradient type thing. I didn't want to just throw on black eyeshadow. I definitely wanted it to make it look like it was nice and mixed. There was some effort in there. And also, I don't take these darker colors quite all the way up to the very top of that rounded outline I made. I just go kind of just shy of it. So you will see the little, kind of tier of colors, if you will. So I'm just repeating the same thing on my other eye, taking that color, that Parallel, and just adding my second shade of eyeshadow. And then now I am getting ready to go in there with Obsidian. This is the black color in the palette. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go in, and I'm actually going to use the brush from the palette. There's like a flat-sided, they're not named, but it's just the brush from the Prism palette. This black is, it's okay. It's not my favorite black, but I did want to use this palette because this black almost goes on just like a really dark gray. I definitely have a lot of other palettes where the blacks literally go on like, ooh, black, black, black. But since I didn't want to just kind of overpower the look, as I mentioned, with the gradient of the colors, that's why I chose to use the black in this particular palette. Because as you can see, I'm having to kind of put on several different coats or different, applications of it. So I'm just going in there, and I am bringing that up just shy of the top of that nice rounded shape that I just made. And I am just continuing on the other side, doing the same thing. Just applying that nice black shading, dipping in a little bit, a couple times to get the look right, and just going back over those other colors, building up my depth. Alrighty, for the next step, I'm going to take my little Eco Tools crease brush. This is the one I use with my darker colors when I want a more concentrated look. I'm going in with Obsidian again, the black shade. And because it's going to be more concentrated on the little brush, I'm going to use it basically to kind of act as an eyeliner. Not using an actual liquid liner on top. That was one thing that they didn't really use at that point in that period. They just stuck with the actual eyeshadows. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of a zing here, if you will. Now, they didn't really do highlighting back in the 20s, but I'm going to a wedding, so I needed a little bit of shimmer in this eye look. So I went ahead and I'm taking the new Tarte palette that I just got in my BoxyCharm, my June BoxyCharm. Forgive me, I forget the actual name of the Tarte palette. I know that I did that in my BoxyCharm. But yeah, I'm going to go in and just throw a little bit in there with my highlighting Eco Tools brush, just to give a little bit of shimmer with that shade that I pointed out there. Alrighty, guys, now we're going to do my face. We're going to do my foundation, starting with my Smashbox, the original Photo Finish Smooth and Blur Primer. This is the clear one. I'm going to spread that all over my face. It is my favorite primer that I've probably ever used. I don't know. I guess I've just been using it for so long, I don't really use many others. But yeah, just smoothing that all over. Going to take my little silicone makeup applicator and my Mary Kay foundation. I use the Time Wise Matte Wear Liquid Foundation in the shade Ivory 7. This is my favorite foundation, guys. I basically tell people it's my holy grail foundation. I've been using it for years and years. I did used to sell Mary Kay back in the day. But even before then, I do remember using it, and it just works really well. I'd say it's medium to full coverage, but for me, I mean, it goes up pretty full coverage. I'm just really doing a good job of blending it all over with that little silicone sponge pad, whatever. It's a little applicator I got at like TJ Maxx. I like it much better than a beauty blender because I don't lose any product and it really applies smoothly. I feel like with beauty blenders, it gets a little splotchy. That's just me. That's just how I feel. But yeah, just getting all my foundation in there, guys. Rubbing it all in, doing a good, thorough job. Alrighty, guys, now we're going to go to concealer. This is the Revlon Photo Ready Candid Concealer in the shade Light or 15. This is actually brand new. I've only had it for 2 days. Not just brand new to me, brand new. Like Revlon just released it. I find it to work really well. This is the second day I've actually used it. And it looks a little yellow on camera. It is slightly more yellow than most of other concealers I've used, but I am really liking the coverage. That it is described as a medium to full coverage. I guess with it being buildable. I'm only doing one layer. And I do go in and I am blending it out with my Real Techniques Beauty Blender. I only use my Real Techniques blender for blending my concealers around my eye and around my nose. That is what I find them best for. And as far as applying makeup, like I said, I don't like to do my full foundation with the Beauty Blender. But once I get that rubbed out real well, I'm actually going to go back into my pressed powder, my Photo Ready Color Stay pressed powder. And I'm using the flat end of the Beauty Blender. And I'm setting it. I don't really consider this baking because I feel like baking is applying it and leaving it for like a really long period of time. I just set it. I basically press in on top of my foundation and on top of my concealer. Leave it there for just a few seconds, not very long. And then I will just dust it off. I mean, technically, I guess it's baking. I don't know. I just think baking is like loading tons on and then, leaving it on for like 20 minutes. I don't know. Same thing, guys. Just setting. I am going back in there with that Candid concealer just to do my nose. My nose is very small and very contoured, so I have to kind of get in those crevices, if you will. Alrighty, now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and use my Revlon Color Stay powder with this big, huge, fluffy Moda brush. It's just a huge, fluffy face brush. I'm going to go in and powder my whole face. This is how I set my entire foundation. Kind of dusting off that excess I had put under my eyes and just setting my foundation as normal. Alrighty, now we're going with my Better Than Sex mascara. I'm going to go ahead and curl it first. I know that I briefly touched on it on my last tutorial about how the Better Than Sex mascara is not my favorite mascara. It is a really good mascara. It's just that I find I get some fallout throughout the day, little black specks on my cheeks, and it also in the tube itself tends to dry out quicker than a lot of other mascaras I've used in the past. So it is great at lengthening, separating, making nice, thick, black, long lashes. It's just I feel like for the high price you kind of pay for this mascara, it shouldn't dry out and as quickly as it does. It also really shouldn't flake. But that being said, I am just going in there and doing my mascara like normal. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm finalizing my eye look now. I wanted to save this step for after I did my concealer because I'm going to be putting eyeshadow on my lower lash line. So instead of using an actual eyeliner in my waterline, which is something they did not do because the look was to make your eyes look bigger and rounder. And of course, eyeliner in the waterline makes them look a little smaller. is I'm just bringing the shadow down. I'm going in with that parallel color again and creating a kind of like an eyeliner look, but not, of course, bringing it into my waterline. Just staying right below my liner, my waterline, sorry, and finishing that kind of rounded, smoky, kind of deep eye look. I am doing it on both sides, of course, with parallel, and then I'm going to go over it with obsidian. So just to kind of really make it super dark and black. All right, guys, now for the super fun part. I'm taking my Luxie large angled blush brush with the Note blush in the shade Desert Rose. And I'm just going to let y'all know right now, this is a very loud blush look. I went a little crazy, but I had so much fun creating this look. I'm going for a very kind of almost like artistic-y, painting my face kind of a look. I'm kind of just having a lot of fun with the color, making a really bold look here. Taking this kind of under the corner of my eye, on top of my cheekbone, and up to my lower temple in this particular shade. And I'm going to make a very theatrical kind of look overall. I'm going to go in with the Model Co. cheek color in Cosmopolitan here. And this one I'm going to kind of do on the apple of my cheek, right below that more corally color, and kind of blend it on the bottom half of it. I wanted to do it more theatrical and loud because there was an emphasis on heavy blush back in the 20s, but they kind of did it more on their apples of their cheeks only. My thought was, hell, it's a wedding. Let's just go crazy. So I really had a lot of fun creating this. My third color is the Cover FX palette. I'm taking the face palette in the color Sublime. It's the only blush in that face palette. And then I'm going on top of the orangier coral shade that I first put down. So I'm kind of sectioning the 3 different colors I'm using, but I'm kind of blending them where they meet. And yeah, I'm going all the way up on my temple and just creating like a kind of really cool effect. I mean, this is definitely more just like something that would be, like I said, theatrical, but I just love the way it came out. And blending it together, I actually got a lot of compliments on it as well, which is always nice. And then I'm going in with the Luxie tapered highlighter brush. It's clean, just to kind of mix them all together, blend everything nice and smooth, and just kind of meld all those beautiful colors and shades to a nice finished look. Alrighty, final step of the makeup look, lips. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Revlon Candid Concealer again with my e.l.f. concealer brush. And I'm going to take the concealer around my lips. I'm kind of making a shape. This concealer is not super max coverage. So really what I'm just doing by doing this is I'm not changing the shape so much. Is I'm making a border of the concealer. And then I'm this is going to help keep in the really dark lipstick that I'm going to be using today. And it is kind of helping me get an idea because I am going to do a smaller lip look. The look of the 20s was a very smaller, almost heart-shaped lip. If you look at the silent film actress Clara Bow, or if you were to Google her, you can see how tiny and small her lips look. They emphasis on more of like a point on the top of the lip and then like a rounded bottom side. You'll see when I'm done kind of what I mean. And I'm sure that most of you are familiar with that. But I am going to go ahead and set with my powder, my same Revlon photo powder, to get a nice base for my lipstick to stick to. So this is my brush I'm going to be using in this lipstick, guys. Okay, well, that's the brush. Look at this lipstick. It is the cutest, most adorable lipstick. It's from the brand Besame. This is a small one because I got a set. It was like a try it sampler set with different shades from different decades. This particular shade is called 1930. So it's a very dark maroon. I am using the e.l.f. small angled brush to put this on with. And the reason why I went with a flat angular brush, as I just showed you a moment ago, is because of that lip look, as I mentioned. I'm starting on the Cupid's bow top of my lip and using the straight line of the angled brush to make that point, to get a nice sharp shape and to basically draw in. It's going to be very precise in helping me draw the shape that I want. Of course, you know, it's taking a little bit of work and effort here because you can't just put lipstick on your natural lip. It's going to look too modern. So to try to be as authentic as possible, that's why I prepped my lip area with the concealer and the powder, and I'm using such a precise brush. So, yeah, what I'm basically doing is going in there and doing my best to draw those lines in my inner natural line to get that small lip shape. I'm going to fill it in a little bit there so I can go ahead and lay down that first layer of color. I will go back in a minute and just go straight from the bullet to my lip. And you can actually see how dark the color really is. It's kind of hard to see just from looking from this particular using just the brush. All right, so I've done the top. Now I'm going to go in with the bottom. I'm going to focus on the center bottom portion where my lips kind of drop down to do that real rounded heart-shaped look. And even though it's a straight angled brush, it really gets those lines defined and it helps me round out that bottom lip to do that full, small, little puckered look. And then I'm going in, of course, once I get that line down and making it smaller again, doing my best to make my lips look nice and tiny. And once again, staying inside my natural lip line. So I'm going to do that here. And then I'm going to fill it in again as I did the top. But now I'm going to go in and just go straight from the bullet and just check out how much darker this color gets. It is crazy. It's almost black when it is straight out of the bullet like that. But that is going to give me that final noir 20s look. And that, my friends, is the completed look.